was the cat burglar to the stars, targeting the best homes to steal only the finest silver. The hunt was on to catch a polished criminal with a sterling reputation. In the summer of 1995, a crime wave hit the wealthy enclave of Greenwich, Connecticut. The crime wave was triggered by one man, a master thief.
He would specifically target these homes at night between the hours of, say, midnight and 5 a.m. He would make entry by means of taking out parts of doors or windows which would not compromise the perimeter alarm if in fact the house had one.
Greenwich is home to the likes of David Letterman and Martha Stewart. The average estate is worth $1.25 million. More than 3/4 of the homes in Greenwich have burglar alarms, but that didn't stop the burglar. The burglar didn't care whether anyone was home. While the occupant slept just steps away, he went to work. No one ever confronted him, yet sometimes he was spotted. The witnesses never betrayed him. They were the family pets.
Animals don't alert to him. And I find that kind of far-fetched and hard to believe, but I have gone on burglaries where those particular residences did have dogs, and the homeowners weren't aware of those dogs barking at all during the night.
The burglar could have taken anything he wanted: cash, jewels, rare coins. Instead, he zeroed in on one thing: pure sterling silver. More than 95% of all burglaries are committed by petty thieves and drug addicts. They make clumsy break-ins and take what they can get.
With these burglaries, however, we knew we weren't dealing with some junkie. The person had the presence of mind just to take the sterling silver. In other words, he had one target in mind, and even though other things might have been available, he had the discipline just to take the sterling silver.
He had a collector's eye. Among his thefts, he made off with a set of sterling silver spoons worth more than $600, a serving dish worth $20,000, a coffee service worth more than $50,000. Anything that wasn't pure silver, he left behind. He left the police even less. No fingerprints, no clues, nothing. The first burglary occurred on August 13, 1995.
secretary table. They took a vase that was right here, very expensive one. Okay.
Two more followed the same week.
What was it? How many?
Each time, the burglar made off with sterling silver. Then, just as the toll of loot reached $100,000, the burglaries stopped as mysteriously as they began.
Okay. God, I can't believe this.
Almost 9 months to a year went on until we saw another one. And once again, we started experiencing this distinctive MO. At that point, we realized this got to be linked to our other jobs in '95.
The silver thief returned to Greenwich in May 1996. This time, he set his sights on the rich and famous, the $15 million mansion of Ivana Trump, former wife of New York billionaire Donald Trump. While Ivana was vacationing in Florida, the burglar climbed through a window and got away with more than $150,000 worth of sterling silver. Just 4 days later, the burglar targeted Ivana's neighbor. As usual, he took time to appraise his haul. He left behind some knives with stainless steel blades. He made off with 110 place settings of silverware. Total value, more than $200,000. During the burglary, the maid was sleeping upstairs. She never heard a thing.
And then it looks like this is where he exited from? Right over there?
Okay.
The next morning, she found a silver platter on the floor in the dining room.
Doesn't look like
It was too big for the hole the burglar had cut in the window.
We've had our normal deliveries.
That was when she realized the house had been robbed.
And you haven't seen any strange vehicles going by or a vehicle going down the street here going really
By
slow?
now, the burglar's loot totaled $450,000.
Very quiet, and
The two detectives working the case still had no leads. After 6 silver thefts, Greenwich was on the alert, but publicity didn't intimidate the burglar. No one was ever harmed during the thefts. But the victims were still distraught.
Because we work all these burglaries, I come to an understanding that the people are in fact affected themselves. It might not be a physical confrontation, but it might be some type of psychological damage because their personal space has been invaded and been compromised.
All the while, the silver thief grew more daring. When he ran into an especially tough alarm system, he cut the phone line that linked it to the security company. On August 24th, 1996, the silver thief committed his 7th burglary in Greenwich. The thief had almost finished when around 5 a.m., the butler heard a noise on the intercom.
Hey, you! Hey! Where are you going? What?
The butler never saw his face.
Oh, my God. Gentlemen, I was startled.
The butler described the thief as a small, trim man.
Just bolted out this window.
That was all detectives had to go on.
Ran out to the back of the yard in that direction.
They searched the grounds of the estate, but they were too late. The burglar escaped with more than $100,000 worth of silver. None of his loot ever surfaced among local fences. The Greenwich detectives surmised he shipped the silver to an accomplice in another state. In 7 burglaries, his haul totaled over $500,000 in silver. Detectives waited for the 8th burglary. It didn't come. The case seemed headed for the unsolved files. Then, they got their first break.
One day, my partner in the burglary squad was reading one of the local newspapers, and he read an article about how in the Hamptons of Long Island, an affluent beach community, a burglary had taken place where sterling silver was the sole item taken from this home.
Be sure to find out.
Detectives phoned the police department in the Hamptons. They directed them to a prosecutor in Monmouth County, New Jersey. The prosecutor supplied a name: Blane David Nordahl. The child of a broken home, Nordahl had enlisted in the Navy in the late 1980s, but soon went AWOL shortly thereafter. He embarked on a string of nickel-and-dime burglaries. In 1991, he left a clue at the scene of the crime.
One of our forensic technicians found on a countertop a sneaker print. Forensically secured that sneaker print, and when he was arrested, Mr. Nordahl had a pair of sneakers which perfectly matched that sneaker print.
When police connected Nordahl to a whole string of burglaries, he threw in the towel. He confessed his crimes and named his fences in return for a shorter sentence. Nordahl was convicted of 42 burglaries and got 4 years in prison. When the detectives from New Jersey and Connecticut compared notes, they found the identical M.O. They concluded they were looking for the same guy. But when they saw how widespread the robberies were, they sent out a nationwide bulletin.
Come together and see what kind of clues.
Police in Pennsylvania and Rhode Island replied. They suspected Nordahl had been there too.
We've all got.
Calls poured in from across the country as investigators of unsolved burglaries spotted the same pattern. In Illinois, 11 estates on Chicago's exclusive North Shore were hit. Another 50 silver burglaries had occurred in New York and New Jersey, including the estate of rocker Bruce Springsteen. Authorities nicknamed Nordahl the burglar to the stars.
When you're the burglar to the stars, you gain a certain notoriety, which is good if you like celebrity status, but not so good if you're a burglar, because certainly then you'll be able to be easily identified, especially for the guys like us who are looking for you to put you behind bars.
Putting Nordahl behind bars wouldn't be so easy. To avoid the mistake that got him convicted in '91, he trashed his tools, clothes, and sneakers after each burglary.
Nordahl clearly wasn't a typical burglar. He was neat. He was fairly clean about his burglaries. He was fastidious about the items that he would take. Selective. He was a professional burglar, as best you can describe it.
Detectives had a suspect, but no proof. Then they got their second break. They found out their guy had a girlfriend.
Our detectives had built up a relationship with the girlfriend of Blane David Nordahl. she decided to cooperate because she thought it was in the best interest of Blane that he finally be caught.
And during this time, you didn't see
Nordahl's
anything
girlfriend
unusual,
claimed he wasn't a typical criminal. He was a nice guy who didn't drink, didn't smoke, and didn't do drugs. He just had a thing for silver.
Were there any drugs?
She told the police how Nordahl pulled off his heists. He targeted his victims by reading about the layout of their homes in upscale magazines like Town and Country and Architectural Digest. The girlfriend even drove around with the Greenwich police and identified the houses Nordahl said he had robbed. She also confirmed that Nordahl usually shipped his loot out of the state. Then, she gave detectives their biggest break yet. She revealed Nordahl had stayed at a motel in Greenwich during the time of the burglaries. Detectives decided to check her story.
Can I help you?
They needed a motel log with Nordahl's signature and the dates May 5th through May 13th, the nights of the burglaries.
Yes, I have a Mr. Nordahl registered.
Pay dirt. That was the evidence they needed to subpoena Nordahl's credit card records.
When was the last time you
Detectives uncovered a paper trail of receipts up and down the East Coast and across the Midwest. Since Nordahl had crossed state lines, it was now a federal case. On October 8, 1996, the FBI followed the trail to Nordahl's mother's house in Chesterton, Indiana.
Oh, FBI! Freeze! Hey, yeah, we just had a runner here.
In minutes, police launched a manhunt. But once more, Nordahl gave them the slip. When they searched the vehicle in the driveway, the FBI found another credit card receipt, this one in the name of David Price. The agents suspected Price was an alias used by Nordahl. They searched computer databases and turned up a checking account and driver's license used by Nordahl under his alias, Price. They also found Price had just rented a car. Armed with a license plate, police departments throughout the Midwest put out an all-points bulletin on the so-called Price. With no luck. A week later, and 300 miles away in Sparta, Wisconsin, an off-duty cop with an unusual head for numbers recognized the license tag. He phoned in the plate number to his department and decided to tail the driver. The police phoned back and confirmed the hunch. The car had been rented by the fugitive silver thief, Blane David Nordahl. The arrest warrant for Nordahl ran to 32 pages. It included 6 counts of second-degree burglary and 6 counts of larceny. Because Nordahl had committed a federal crime, he would be incarcerated in Brooklyn, pending trial in federal district court in New York. In his decade-long crime spree, Nordahl never stopped doing his homework. In his car, police found a criminal's curriculum: how to launder money, tricks of the burglar alarm trade. New ID in America. They were the hallmark of a thief who tried to avoid making the same mistake twice and failed. Nordahl's capture was due largely to the perseverance of the Greenwich detectives, so they got first crack at interviewing him.
First, do you want to start with?
They were amazed by the extent of his crimes.
Well, you can say I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my
We
work.
didn't have a real solid number in our heads aside from the ones he had done in Greenwich. As these interviews went on, it led to a substantial amount of burglaries being revealed, much more than we thought of initially. It led to 142 burglaries, which were perpetrated in 36 different jurisdictions in 9 different states.
Nordahl was looking at 15 years in prison.
Mr. Nordahl, true to form, indicated that he would cooperate with authorities to identify the individuals who he sold his property to. And the authorities were interested in who would buy these type of items, particularly the more expensive items that were taken from the very wealthy or the very famous. And they agreed to release Nordahl with the anticipation that he continued to cooperate.
Nordahl spent 20 months behind bars while awaiting sentencing.
Nordahl, pack it up. Your B&B.
About time.
Post date.
After making a plea bargain with prosecutors, Nordahl was released on bail on June 18, 1998.
Around the corner.
He promised to go straight. 1 month after his release, a wave of burglaries struck Pennsylvania and Maryland. The only items stolen were sterling silver. In Baltimore alone, a dozen homes were hit for some $700,000 worth of sterling. Blane David Nordahl was back in business.
He changed his location. He moved to different parts of the country, but his occupation didn't change.
Police were certain Nordahl was their man, but as usual, he left no clues behind. By enlisting police from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland, the FBI kept Nordahl under surveillance around the clock. For several weeks, they tracked him without result. Then, on November 16th, 1998, Maryland police tailed Nordahl to a wealthy suburb of Baltimore.
Turn around. Hands up. On the deck. Face down. Arms out. Palms up.
If Nordahl had gone straight, prosecutors would probably have let him off with time served.
I got him, Mike. Clear the car.
Now, he had 3 strikes against him.
Relax.
It looked like he was out of the game for good.
Bring a heel into your crotch. Heel into your crotch. Up.
But to the cop's surprise, Nordahl didn't have any silver, just the tools of the trade.
Guy can't take a walk. Walk with me.
Police settled for a 4th-degree burglary charge. In the end, the misdemeanor turned into a felony. Nordahl faced 10 years for committing a crime while on pre-trial release.
He's going to go back to what he knows after he's done his prison time, because after a while in our business you become a realist, and you realize that there's some people in the world that even if you snapped them a chalk line, they still couldn't walk a straight line.
If he outlives his sentence, Blane David Nordahl will be back on the street. Once more, the question will be whether he goes straight or lives up to his sterling reputation.